Rumor has it that on the 4th floor of that abandoned apartment was hidden a Candlelight store where anyone could make a modification of their own life. The apartment complex had a tall gate and was padlocked. Despite the intriguing rumor, only a handful of people dared to jump inside. Not just because of the padlock, but also because there was no electricity, no light. It was dark, full of ruins, and dangerous to explore. There was one guy who came out and told a story about how he saved his dying daughter by moving her flame onto his candle so they could share the same lifespan. Yes, a candle. The place was full of candles, each lit with its own flame. The candles represented lives. A short candle meant a short life. Brandon, Arena, and I summoned our courage and entered the abandoned apartment. That night, we stood on the 4th floor, right in front of a hallway blocked by another padlocked gate. To get past it, we had to crawl along the outer edge of the balcony. The store in question was the 4th room beyond the gate. There was no door, and it was pretty dark inside, but we could see because countless flames lit up the space. Candles, so many of them. "Welcome," a man greeted us. He wore a white suit, dark trousers, and a red tie. He looked like an ordinary office worker. "There was another guest," I muttered. "Where's the shopkeeper? I heard he guarded this room." "I am the shopkeeper," he said, smiling an eerie smile. "Oh, I didn't expect you to look like that," Brandon responded. "I hear that a lot," he replied. "What can I help you with?" "Rumor said this place allows us to modify life," Arena said. "It's not a rumor," the man replied. "What do you need?" Brandon and Arena exchanged glances. They came out of curiosity. They didn't really have a plan, but I did. "So all of these candles represent the lives of people?" I asked. "In this city, yes," he explained. "Every city has a place like this, where lives are stored in the form of candles." "Interesting," I commented. "Which candle is mine?" "It doesn't work that way, sir," the shopkeeper said. "If you want to modify your life candle, you'll have to find out for yourself which one is yours. I'm just here to tell you the rules, what you can and can't do," he added. Fine, I thought. I wandered through the room, which at first seemed small, but revealed itself to be endlessly large. At one point, I walked past a candle that, for some reason, caught my attention. It stood about 15 centimeters tall. No name, no label, but somehow, I just knew. It was mine. "How many years would this candle last?" I asked. The shopkeeper didn't flinch, just smiled that same eerie smile. Sure, I thought. I picked up the candle and walked around until I found the biggest, tallest candle I had ever seen. It stood on the floor, almost as tall as me, and as thick as my torso. "I can't ask who this candle belongs to, can I?" I asked the shopkeeper. Brandon and Arena followed behind me. Once again, the same eerie smile. "Can I slice the tip of this small candle and put it on top of that big one?" "Yes," he finally answered. "But that big candle is special. You can't put two flames on it. You'd have to swap them. You can place the smaller one on top first, but you must immediately move the other flame." I took out a camping knife from my bag and carefully sliced the tip, swapping the flames. "Do you want help finding yours?" I proudly asked Brandon and Arena. "No thanks. This place terrifies me," Brandon said. "Same," Arena added. And just like that, we left the room. Strangely, the shopkeeper's eerie smile was gone. It had turned into a happy smile, one he seemed to try hard to hide. Weeks passed. Nothing happened. I mean, I swapped my life flame with a bigger candle. I didn't think anything would happen, except that I'd live longer. But then something strange started. I slowly forgot events that had happened my entire life. It started with my childhood memories, then expanded to life events that happened as I got older. After a few weeks, I started forgetting people's names, even my own family's. I couldn't even remember the names of my 2 friends who had gone with me to the Candlelight store. I couldn't remember their names, so I couldn't figure out where I had saved them in my phone to try calling. Then one day, I accidentally saw them on the street, and something even stranger happened. They didn't recognize me. Days passed, and my body started to feel off. I felt weak and constantly out of breath. The only thing I remembered was the strange Candlelight store on the 4th floor. So I went. With shallow breaths, I finally reached the store on the 4th. "Is anyone here?" I shouted as I stepped inside. "Well, there you are," said the same shopkeeper, now greeting me with a wide, bright smile. "I've been waiting for you." I gasped. "What do you mean?" "I can finally go home now," he said. "I thought you lived here," I muttered. Then, frantically, I continued. "No, listen, something strange is happening to me. I've lost all the memories of my life. I can't remember anything. I've forgotten everyone's name. I feel like I'm dying. What's happening to me?" "Yeah, that happened to me too," he replied. "Excuse me?" "The biggest candle you saw in this store," he began, "belonged to the shopkeeper." "It was yours?" I shouted. "The shopkeeper's," he repeated. "I was once a visitor like you. And funny enough, I did what you did. I swapped my candle with the big one. It gave me centuries of life, but..." He paused. "I was cursed to live in this store, guarding it as the shopkeeper." I froze. As long as my flame stayed on the big candle, I couldn't leave the store, he continued. If I stepped outside, I'd be choked to death. But can't you just..." I stuttered. "No, I can't," he cut in quickly. Once I reached the point where I couldn't remember anything except this store, I became the shopkeeper. And as the shopkeeper, I couldn't physically interact with both the visitors and the candles. "So, you just waited for someone to make the same choice," I muttered. "Actually, it doesn't have to be a swap," he said, laughing for the first time. "Anyone can place 2 flames on that big candle, or more. That just means there would be 2 shopkeepers. But I don't want to be one. So swapping it meant you'd take on the shopkeeper's life, and I'd take yours." Realizing what he meant, rage surged through me. I instinctively grabbed my camping knife and lunged, but I couldn't move. It felt like invisible hands held me back. I told you, didn't I? He smirked, walking joyously towards the store's exit. I don't even remember how long I've been here, he said, face gleaming with joy. Years, maybe decades. It feels good to be back in life. He turned to look at me, now unable to leave the store, smiled one last time, and spoke his final words. Thank you for the life. Goodbye. Thank you to Reddit user Paranoid Letters for letting me share their lovely creepy tale. As always, the link to the original story is in the description and the top pinned comment below. Please give some love to the author if you enjoyed this tale. This user has also informed me that they do have an Instagram, so I will also share the link to that below as well if you would like to give them a follow. Once again, thank you for listening, and if you liked my narrations, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, sinners.